Dear Steve Isdall, I've watched the video you called the most important Sasquatch story 3 times. I've thought about the message conveyed in that report. I've had some traumatic experiences in my youth. I witnessed a murder when I was 5. Oh, that's not too cool. That was only one of a dozen or so memories I had suppressed. I started a journey of self-discovery after most profound sighting of the 14-foot Blemmies, Blemmies, beside the highway east of Prince George, BC, September 24, 2019. That is a common area for this to go down. That is what these no-head were called 300 years back and are depicted on Magellan's map of Patagonia, 1700. I found that after much digging around on the internet. The map of the depictions I saw on Florida McQuee's YouTube channel, I was shocked to see the likeness. These creatures were rumored to be cannibal. Maybe that is a bad press, I don't know. The one I saw had more hair, and the 2 orbs floating in front of its chest and abdomen. It told me, "You did not see me." I know that I was being commanded to forget or suppress that experience. I did not want to suppress the experience. I'd recently been working to bring forward what a repressed memory of a murder I had witnessed in 2017. I'm dyslexic, but I believe that is the correct year. It was a shocking and traumatic experience which I had suppressed. That came back to me about 11 months after. Wow, it's crazy what the mind does, isn't it? My journey into my own painful and suppressed memory was complicated and stressful. First, I recalled the bad dreams and nightmares associated with the experience. They did not make sense. They were a potent mix of raw emotion with fragments of actual events. I had to process those things with prayer, meditation, and also consultation with a friend, clinical psychologist, and another longtime friend, ex-cop 30-year counselor, retired. I can tell you that combination of insight was profound. Since this time, half a dozen other traumatic memories have re-emerged. At this time, after journaling all these things, I feel much more at ease, as much as possible given current events. I've done some inner work. There may be more to emerge. However, it'll be in God's time, not mine. This being at peace with the process is ideal grounds for revelation and healing. This work has also brought forth a multiple of booger experiences, also suppressed. These things have been revealing themselves on numerous occasions. I was hunting a friend's land. I was hiking a secluded but well-worn trail, and I caught up to 2 individuals who were wearing heavy black coats. They were not local natives picking herbs and plants, but it was a juvenile and female booger. They were afraid of my shouldered rifle. I assured them I was hunting moose, deer, elk, and bear. I was told I had to leave. It was not safe. The dad would not think kindly to my presence. I asked them not to erase my memory. They did so as was I leaving. About 100 feet from my last sight of them, I remember feeling disappointment as the memory left. This is crazy. 4 months later, the memory returns. First as a awakening dream, but way too real. As time passes and I do not try to force the memory, what I wrote above emerged. I believe they had seen our tangled memory as a flaw that they can utilize and manipulate. We struggle with reality. They see this as a defect of character. They seem to have a sense of humor about it. We were never meant to be sheltered from truth or reality. It is learned behavior, conditioning, and social reprogramming. That I would absolutely believe without a doubt. If you want to know the truth, it is within you. Many among us are in complete denial. Some are journeying within for the answers. Dear Steve Isdell, I know you had some hard miles earlier in life. I wish you the peace, strength, and love of God in your journey. I hope you get over that bug soon. I don't give an F if you read or do not read, believe or do not believe. My only hope is to add to the round table of knowledge. Sincerely, Phil Hukin, Prince George, BC. Phil, you're appreciated, man. And good for you in the healing, and I hope you don't stop. And whatever you want to come forward with in the future, you make sure you do it here and share it with me and share it through me with everybody else, all right? Appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words and the words of support. So many emails. Dear Steve, I have a lot to say, but I'll keep this brief. As much as I've enjoyed them, I've stopped watching your videos because you're using God's name as a cuss word. I sent you a couple emails. I'm watching your titles, however, in the hope, but not expecting, that you would mention your language. I was shocked last night to see just that. Some of my fondest memories are of rough grouse and pheasant hunting with my dad and with my late wife. She would actually hunt and fish with me, not just tag along. It was awesome. I now have a 13-year-old son and was just starting to share your videos with him. He loves to hunt also. I know you may slip once in a while, but that's cool. At least know you're trying, and I can watch your videos with him again. Thanks. Again, John Samuels, Frederick, Maryland. All right, John, you know what? It is what it is. Language is language. We are all different. But what makes us all good and strong on this channel is we all accept each other no matter what, and we don't judge each other, right? People do harm people, and people harm people intentionally. I will guarantee you no one is harming anyone here, and nobody's intentionally trying to harm anyone or insult anyone. Everybody's going to have a use of the English language in their own little harmless way. And it is what it is, man. Okay? Thanks for your concern. Thanks for your support, man. If you get upset or offended in the future, unfortunately, it's going to be all on you, man. Okay? We're all kind grown-ups here, and language is language. It is what it is, and we're all going to govern ourselves differently, and we're going to have to accept that, right? But anyway, glad you're back. Glad you're here. We'll carry on here. And everybody in the comment section, don't go jumping on them, all right? Everybody has to accept everything the way it is. Hello, Steve. My name's Aaron. I'm from Kentucky, and I'm a huge fan of your channel. I personally witnessed things that I cannot explain. Strange lights in the woods, shadow people, the old hag and the hat man, as well as ghosts dressed in some type of decorated army uniform. But this story I'm about to tell is by far the weirdest, strangest thing I've ever encountered, and I'm interested in hearing other people's stories similar because the fact that I don't know what it was drives me crazy. I've only told this story to close friends. By the way, I'm not a writer, so you can change whatever you need to. Here we go. Just so you guys know, I don't change shit. I don't change nothing. So I used to live in a place called Horse Branch in Kentucky. It was smack dab in the middle of nowhere. After a few months living there, middle of June 2015, my girlfriend at the time, we'll call her Joanna, was standing on the front porch of her trailer. Now, the way the trailer was set up, we had her mom's house probably 40 yards, give or take, to the side of the trailer facing it. We were completely surrounded by woods all around, except the road, which her trailer faced. Most of the wood line had a ton of blackberry bushes, and behind her mom's house in the woods, there was a freshwater spring and further back a creek. Across the road in front of the neighbor's house was a large pond. 10 to 15 minutes before dark, we were standing on the porch enjoying the many fireflies that were out that night. I remember taking note that there were so many fireflies that I made a remark that I've never in my life seen so many of them, and to this day I've not seen that many. I mean, it was beautiful. After just a few minutes, though, they had drastically dispersed and were down to a few, which I thought was kind of strange. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this heavy fog kind of rolls through, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see this orangish orb, but the size of a car tire, come up from behind her mom's house, out of the woods, and stop right above the tree line. It immediately caught my attention, and I glanced at it. It was about 100 yards out from us. Well, as we're talking, I looked away from it and gave her kind of a weird look. I see her look past me, at it, and then back at me with the same weird look. So I turned to face its direction, and after a few seconds, I pointed at it and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what the F is that?" And immediately after saying that, this thing slowly comes forward in our direction, slants downward at an angle, levels back out again, and stops literally right above us, about 10 feet. I'm looking up at it like, holy shit. My mind couldn't understand exactly what it was I was seeing. Once it stopped above us, she starts having the worst panic attack I've ever seen, hyperventilating and yelling for her mom. I remember her looking back and forth between this thing and her, and I kind of nervously laughed and said, "Baby, I don't know what it is we're looking at right now, but we need to get to your mom's house." So halfway holding her up to keep her from falling over, I walked us to her mom's house. And as I'm doing so, I keep looking back, and this orb is slowly trailing behind us, following, almost like it's curious. When I reach the door to her mom's, she very quickly darts inside and never once looked back at this thing. I mean, she was absolutely terrified. I was more so curious, albeit a little afraid, because I just didn't understand, and I knew that the situation was completely out of my control. Anyways, I turned around and was facing this orb, just amazed and in awe. It's sitting still, 15 feet from the ground, about 10 feet out from me. And after what seemed like minutes of just staring at it, which in reality was just about 10 seconds, it goes from sitting still to going at the speed of light up into the sky. It made absolutely no noise during the whole encounter. In fact, things were eerily quiet. This experience has left me perplexed, and although scared at the time, I was so glad I was able to experience it. There are things in this world that we just don't understand. Whether this was spiritual, extraterrestrial, or even human, I just have no idea. But what do I know? As it seemed to be some sort of craft or vehicle, and it was in itself, or seemed to be operated by intelligence. I have other stories in that same place on being lights in the woods, and other being a weird experience with her being on the phone with me, and something happened which I can't explain, and honestly I don't like talking about it much because it scares me. Anyways, really appreciate the work you do, and I really enjoy your content on your channel. Thank you for listening to my story, and feel free to use it if you want to. Alright, Darren, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Obviously, you've heard, how many people we've heard now talk about the lights, right? I've had everything from celebrity TV, outdoors people have emailed me, telling me about these lights going by them on the trail, up roads, people getting followed. Who else? That friend of mine that sat in the fire, the cowboy up the road. When we sat out there in the snow and talked in front of the fire, he saw, him and his son watched a light turn in, 3 different lights go into one, I think, just across the valley from his place. And they also have the Sasquatch shit going on around their property nonstop. They're definitely related. There's no way getting out of it. And again, to the military and the scientific community, if I know you're listening, if any of you could possibly throw us a bone and let us know possibly what you know about these lit up balls of light, it should be a kind gesture for you to share what you know and share with the people. The cat's out of the bag. Tens and tens of thousands of people know about all this crazy shit going on, so the cat's out of the bag, right? You might as well get everybody up to speed and become part of and help us maintain this community, proper community of people, right? Okay, Steve, my name is Sebastian. I used to live in southeast North Carolina, but now live in Montana. I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, and I feel like I may have experienced something you have, and I didn't realize until you spoke up, so here it is. This experience took place back home in southeast North Carolina. Back in the midsummer 2020, I'd stayed with family and friend, and like any normal person, I worked during the day, and when I got off, I was helping a co-worker with his side job, and I got a phone call from my family friend. Well, she was unnerved by her grandson running to her house from the woods, claiming he saw a black bear. Now, and at this time, he was 9 years old. I thought he just wanted attention. Well, when I got home, I asked him what it looked like, and he described it as a black bear to the T. Well, it was dark when I got home. My family friend asked to please go check for signs of bear. Well, I grabbed my old Mauser 30-06, grabbed my flashlight, and walked to the woods, not even 100 yards behind her house. Well, there's a graveyard also behind their house in front of the woods. Well, there's a graveyard also behind their house in front of the woods. Okay, this part is what got me. I walked to the graveyard, no problem. I didn't feel no fear and no sort of second thought. But as soon as I get 10 yards in the woods, I suddenly feel an incredible amount of fear and sense of, oh shit, if you don't leave now, you're dead. Fear hit me like a freight train, and immediately came to tears. I couldn't stop myself. And the second thing that hit me was, back up, don't you dare turn around or you're dead. So I backed out of the woods as fast as I could with my rifle at the ready to shoot and kill till I was about halfway to the house, and I just booked it as hard as I could. Steve, I've been hunting with my dad, and I've spent a good deal of my life in the woods hunting, fishing, and camping. I've seen a sow black bear and her cubs at 80 yards at the age of 15. And the same year I had a very scary moment a month after I encountered a black panther walking away from me after watching me, even though black panthers aren't native to North Carolina. And neither one of those moments made me feel like I did that night. Even to this day, when I think about it, even typing this, it chills me and brings tears to my eyes. And I'm 26 years old, a grown man. Grown men don't cry for no reason, Steve, and no one else knows this. But thanks to you, I can get off my chest, because I know my family would laugh at me like I'm stupid. Keep it up, Steve. Thanks for encouragement. P.S. I don't mind you sharing my name. I'm sorry about macaroni. I know you loved them. All right, Sebastian, thanks for that share, man. And it's good that you mailed in and got that off your chest, right? And you already know now. You already know now. You know what it was, especially from all the clues you've heard with all the rest of the people sharing with each other here on this channel, right? You know what it was. Good for you listening to your gut. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know how those messages get relayed directly to people. I haven't a clue. Is the source of the voice the danger, or is the source of the voice protecting you from danger? I don't know. I'd probably be leaning towards the later one myself. Oh yes, I would imagine. So much confusing shit. There's so much shit out there that we need to learn about and share with each other. So much shit that's been held away from us. This is just maddening and frustrating. These dirty pricks, you dirty bastards out there, if you're listening to me right now, that partake in avidly, actively keeping honest information away from the people, you guys suck if you're listening. Hopefully we get our hands on you one day. Give you a little frickin' few. Anyway, okay, I'll bite my lip. This would have amazed the world. Name's Howard. I'm going to leave my residence out of the story. Thank you, Steve, for the effort you put on this topic. You're a good man. And thank you for the kind words. Here's a whopper of a story. And honestly, it could be the only way to get a guaranteed way to see one. As I said, I won't tell my area. But if anyone out there think they might have a Sasquatch issue, here's a way to find out. Here's my story. A group of us, we were young, decided we were going to get some alcohol and light off fireworks, staying clear of the folks by going into the woods. Good times for about 20 minutes. We bought a couple of those firework tubes, 30, 40 of those round balls you throw in the tube and it shoots it way up in the sky and goes boom. And balloon colors everywhere. We found a good spot in this field, more like a meadow. We were a good mile or two in the woods on this dirt road in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's around way out there. We sat up in the field right off the side of the road about 20 yards from the tree line. This field was completely surrounded by woods on each side. This was just supposed to be fun. We couldn't have been more wrong. We planned it for weeks, buying them expensive mortar balls to shoot off. Just so you know, I still got 17 of them mortar balls, and the only reason we have those still is because we kept the fireworks in the trunk that night. I left my brand new folding chair, my beer, and my dad's lantern. Anyway, we're shooting both of these tubes as fast as we could. Honestly, it was amazing until we shot a dud that went out of control and shot right into the tree line and resumed its boom and lit up the woods like daytime. At this point, there isn't a word that can describe how scared we were. Didn't want to start any fires, but realized fire isn't the issue that moment. There was more of these beings than we could count. It wasn't bears because every single one of them ran on 2 feet into the woods that I could see and hear. When the boom went off and the dud blew out and lit up the tree line like daytime, they all paused looking at it until I think they realized how exposed they were. They all ran into the woods but one, I believe was the elder male. The thing was damn big. It raised its hands and brought them down to his knees like he was flexing his arms, roaring at the same time. The roar sounded just like a lion, but louder, I'm sure. Lower tone. Made the hair raise up on me for sure. All of us screamed like girls, but like others, it didn't freeze us in place. We were in that car, smashing the gas pedal before it even started. I haven't back out there to get my belongings or to see how much damage we did, if any, but I want to. What I really want to do is go back out there and get an idea how big these things actually were. I remember exactly where that male stood and where his head level was in that tree line. I don't think I'll ever forget it. Those things were big, and there was lots of them. I guess the bottom line of the story is they seemed to enjoy fireworks just like us. We had no problem and were oblivious they were there until they had one shot towards them. Telling you right now, when the big one roared, I feel like it said, "Go," in its own speech, and it was serious. The situation was serious, and I'll rank this adventure as number 1 of my all-time scariest moments. After I'd seen that night, I can tell you if they are populated like that everywhere on this planet, then there must be thousands and thousands of them. Okay, Steve, share away if you want. I'm a believer now, and anyone who isn't needs to start doing some work and jumping into this crazy rabbit hole. Feel free to share. Name is Howard Blackwood. Take care of yourself, and you're loved. Appreciate hearing these stories. Kind of helps you cope with this topic. Howard, that is one hell of a frickin' experience. And share. If you want, email back again and tell us exactly what it was you saw. Tell us how many of these things were there, and if you can, give a description of it. Height, width, hairiness, eyes shining. I'd be interested in hearing the description, exact description of what you've seen. It sounds like you possibly had that visual imprinted in the back of your mind, like all the rest of us had, right? Anyway. It's kind of a comfy spot. This no hike cheating. I gotta start hiking a lot more here pretty quick though. Seeing is believing. Hi Steve, you recently read my Sasquatch story and mentioned be careful what you wish for in response to me wanting to see one. I want to believe and think I believe in these forest people. Finding their tracks often makes me believe even more. Still, as much as I want to believe, until I actually see a Sasquatch, my belief is more like faith. Seeing a Sasquatch will actually erase any doubt and confirm they exist. At that point / moment, I'll know the truth and won't give a crap what naysayers say or think. For me, seeing is true believing. I'm sharing this quickly written and urgent story and hope someone out there will come forward and confirm what I saw. Steve, you're the perfect outlet to share, and I appreciate that opportunity. All right, man, let her rip. Last night in Sequim, Washington State, I saw the most amazing thing in my life. For me, perhaps even more exciting than seeing a Sasquatch and feeling compelled to share this with all interested. I'm totally obsessed by this event, which could change me, as I know a truth on this particular subject. I hope this is not too off topic for you and want to know what I'm about to share is the truth. Sunday night, May 17, 2021, at 10:40 p.m. decided to hit the sack earlier than normal. Partly because my 150-pound lab Roddy mix was pestering me as he was ready to zonk out. I was in my man cave, actually my small big game trophy room, where I read, mess with rifles, relive past hunts, watch cryptocurrency, UFO, Sasquatch, and in particular, your videos every night. I just finished a Richard Dolan UFO disclosure video, then lastly your daily Sasquatch video. That's when my dog Duke insisted it was bedtime. I locked up the trophy room and headed for the house. As I reached my back door, I noticed something shimmering in the sky. It was a clear night. Only a weather change brought in some low clouds and fog. From here on, I will relate my first impressions. This shimmering object was quite a distance from me to my left, at about a 65-degree angle up towards the northwest. It was in the atmosphere and may have been over the Strait of Juan Fuca. It looked long and horizontal in the sky. First, I thought it might be lights reflecting off a cloud. That is until I noticed it was moving to the east. In fact, that was no cloud. The shimmering seemed to be hypnotic and perhaps caused by the atmosphere. This object is going to go past right through my northern view. Estimated it was moving a bit slower than a commercial jetliner when they pass over. At that point, I knew this was something unusual, so I ran for my vehicle to retrieve a pair of binoculars. By the time I fished them out, the object was straight across from me. I was facing north. When I peered through my optics at this object, my world fell apart. I could not believe what I was clearly seeing, yet I knew exactly what I was seeing. A craft, a real UFO. Only this thing was huge. I'll get right to the point. It looked like a frickin' Empire State Building floating in the sky on its side, only bigger and perhaps more like the World Trade Center. This was clearly a craft with 70 to 100 plus windows on its side, just like a skyscraper at night with about 30% of the windows dark or off. The windows on it were lit from within and surely what caused the shimmering. These were not navigation lights. The structure of this craft was so clear it was like watching a science fiction movie. When the big mothership arrives to Earth, only this thing was real and no way ours. I was observing a side view. Stunned, I watched as it moved to my right. A much closer to me cloud bank would soon obstruct my view of it. When about 1/3 of its front end was hidden by the clouds, it stopped. Then its trailing end started rotating to the horizontal upward position and stopped at about 65 degrees. At that point, it descended. I watched until fully hidden by clouds. This craft was so big that I kind of expected to hear a crash. None came, and this entire event was silent. If this craft was over the water, it may have plunged in. I know I clearly saw a huge UFO, now etched into my mind forever. Certainly someone else may have seen it, and hopefully they come forward. Hey, U.S. military, there is no way you don't know about this object on this night. Tell us the truth. For me, seeing is believing, and I can now say for certain UFOs, crafts, not of this world are real. Steve, had you been here, you would have been blown away. Chris, Valerio, Sequim, Washington. Feel free to share. Well, there you go. Another UFO story got squeaked in. One peak straight. I grew up fishing and looking into that strait every day. Well, listen, I'll tell you what. If anybody's seen it, drop a comment in the comment section below. All right, but don't email me. I said it before politely. I don't want to hear. I just don't want to crack open tens of thousands of UFO stories, okay? Unless it's directly related to one of these encounters with us. Because right now, my main mission is to get as many people up to date with knowledge as I can, so that they do not skip out on their true passions in this world, and they're not too scared to go out and enjoy the real world. That's my main goal, all right, you guys? I want the answers. I want to pass them on to the people, and I want to reassure people they're fine, or when they can be fine to go out and hike, camp, bicycle, hunt, whatever, fish. That's what I'm mainly about right now, all right? Thanks for that share. Hey Steve, thanks for doing this and being who you are. This topic can cause good people to be bought off because they're either so shocked someone cares enough to buy them, or someone they don't consider their hairy man peer has been. I just say the hell away from them. But like you, I'm just amazed the effort put forth by the authority to keep this obvious species of people in fairy tale land. You can't unsee it. I wasn't looking for it. I'm the guy that sent the encounter with the very large black jaguar. No doubt about species, the pattern was too obvious in my high beams. It was jet black, and my weight estimate was 350. To qualify that estimate, I had the privilege to go backstage at the Shrine Circus when my little girl was 3 years old. They had an 814-pound Siberian tiger. Oh, those things are impressive frickin' animals, aren't they? It was so big it did not look real, but it was very much was. That cat I saw in the Florida Big Bend National Wildlife Refuge was as large as a Bengal tiger, but it was a male black jaguar. Like I said, I could have put my entire head in its mouth. I wanted to share this just to give some perspective how I estimated the weight. Now this happened to two friends, clients I'd taken hunting for a long time since one of them was 8. He was at the time of this event in his late 20s. He and his uncle had left the cabin, headed for their deer stands an hour before sunrise on a souped-up golf cart. Their stands were about a mile and a half from the cabin. They'd made it to a culvert pipe that went under the road through the woods and thought they heard a growl over the cart motor, so they stopped. The water was barely moving, it was so quiet. They heard another growl, but closer and more guttural. They sat there another minute, and the next growl was much louder, lower, and closer. They decided it was time to leave. As BJ reached to flip the cart in reverse, they got hit by what BJ said was a railroad horn from 10 feet. Clothes moving, cart shaking, and organs shifting. He said, imagine the MGM Lion at 140 decibels topped off by Jurassic Park T-Rex with a straight pipe revved Harley. I was back at the cabin making coffee and boiling water for grits. They both burst into the sliding doors facing the river and asked, did you hear that? I had the news on TV and said I had not heard anything. They both said they could have been heard from 10 miles away. That could have been heard from 10 miles away. I asked, y'all going hunting? And they said in unison, not this morning. The sun was just coming up, and these guys literally loved hunting this place. They both had trophy whitetails from coming previous years, so I knew my friends had just went from wanna believers to absolute knowers. I told them it was Big George. They just wanted to go to bed down, and they were in his way. Well, he made a lasting impression. George has been on this 2,100 acres as long as I've been hunting it, and that was 34 years ago. I've never had a face-to-face, seen him in my peripheral when alone checking stands, never felt threatened except the morning turkey hunting when I assumed it was him that walked up behind my tree. I had my dove bucket up in, and he exhaled. Belgian draft horse exhale. Anyways, I shared that story already. Really wanted to say thank you for not allowing yourself to be bought off. I've listened to a lot of different people, and the minute they touch that authority nerve, they get extremely pastel. Don't know, but assumed threatened. One group out of Oklahoma simply went away, but they're definitely pricking the authority nerve. Okay, enough rambling. Thank you. I want to know why it is so important for what obviously does exist cannot be allowed to. Very best regards, Ed. Thanks, Ed. Thanks for that share. And yeah, I want to know why too. We're going to find out. There's too many of us that know now, right? There's far too many of us know now. Way too many people know. Cat's out of the bag. That's all there is to it. But anyway, it's got to be a record time for me sitting in one place. It's been over a frickin' hour. Amazing. I'm going to go one more. Not that one. Hi, Steve. First, what you see, you can share. Been watching your channel for a long time, even before Sabe came into the picture. Love your hunting vids and all the advice you share. You live quite the life. My heart broke for you at the loss of Mr. Macaroni. I lost my horse, Nick, 6 years ago. I still get emotional when I think of him. He was 32 when he passed, and I had him from 6 months old. It's awful losing your best friend and buddy. Ah, yeah, that sucks. It does suck. Thanks for those kind words. Yeah, I was actually kind of angry about it the other day, thinking about him. I could smell him and feel him, and it's just so frustrating. It makes you angry in a way that he's gone. It can be really frustrating feeling, and you can allow yourself to get a little pissed off because you just feel it's just not fair, you know. But anyway, thanks for those kind words. Appreciate it. My husband and I live in rural southeastern Ohio on our 80-acre farm. Wonderful life. We have a lot of fun together since we're retired. We love to fish, so we go to nearby Seneca Lake in the evenings to do some catfishing. They pulled some mighty big ones out of there. 5 or 6 years ago, one night around midnight, we were sitting on the bank, lantern burning, lines in the water, sipping coffee, having a great time. My husband was baiting up, and I had my back to him, refilling my coffee mug. All of a sudden, we heard a deafening growl, scream, yell from a very dark area about 100 yards away. I can't describe how it sounded. Never heard anything like it ever. Neither of us said anything for about 30 seconds. Finally, my husband asked if I had heard whatever it was. I said, "Yeah, what was that?" He had no idea, and we both know what all our normal wildlife sounds like. We have no bears. We both realized if that creature walked the direction it sounded like it was heading, and if it turned the right way, it would be coming straight towards us. We both looked at each other wide-eyed, started throwing stuff in the dry bag, grabbed the poles and the lantern, and literally flew off the lake bank, up over the little hill, threw stuff in the Jeep, and leaped into the front seat and took off for home. We discussed what happened the 8 miles to home. Couldn't figure it out. Thought all kinds of things. The next evening, my husband wasn't at home. I was out in the backyard with our dogs and cats working in my flowers. All of a sudden, just from inside the woods above our pasture behind our house, there came the very sound, blood-curdling roar we'd heard the night before at the lake. I was beside myself. I looked, but I couldn't see anything. So I hollered for the dogs and cats, and we all went in the house, and I locked the doors. I've never heard anything more of it. It sounded like something I've heard online, and we probably know what it was. Half our farm is woods, so we're always on the lookout. My husband and I think of this occurrence and speak of it often to each other. We hope to never experience it again and definitely don't want to see what made that sound. Thank you for the enjoyment and knowledge your channel brings to so many. Yours and David Plattis' channels are the best ones out there. Thank you for all you do. Good luck at your new abode, and best wishes for all your worthy endeavors. God bless you and Sarah and your family. Please stay safe. Sherry B. from Temperanceville, Ohio. Thank you very much for that kind share and the kind words, and I hope nothing but luck and good comes to you too on your property. That's a bit of an unfortunate frickin' sound to hear coming out of the forest, right? We don't have too many of those terrifying roar reports in my neighborhood. Farther out near Goldbridge, British Columbia, which is that way, just over the ways. I've had a handful of people I know have heard the screams and roars there. But we don't have too many, there's not very many threatening experiences in these valleys behind me that I know of. I don't think there probably is. Yeah, actually that one, remember I mentioned the kid from Whistler, his dad, that's just right over there. Had that one scream at his dad and close in on him. That was a little terrifying, but on average, most of the sightings around here don't have that ferocious Tyrannosaurus / lion combo roar, thank God. So far, anyway. But anyway, there you go. And again, I'm going to reach out to the military and scientific community. If you could please, somebody offer up to the people what you know, what is described to you when you were told to not engage with these beings, and to get to a more specific point is we are very, very curious as to the outcome if there is an engagement. Who is more at threat of being harmed? Is it the people or is it the beings? Just to be fair, just share that one with us, okay? That would be a really big help for the people, okay? As obviously, it's not just in the thousands of eyewitnesses now. It's in the tens of thousands around the globe, and it's only fair that you share the knowledge is shared with the community now, right? With the society, with people. It's only fair. But anyway, that's all she wrote. It's going to be dinner time here pretty quick. Got to get going.